Alright, welcome YouTubers. I'm going to recap the NFL free picks that you can get on YouTube.com. I'll start with the selective bunch that I had picked for 2019. Either these guys were winners, or I got 3 new columns out there at the end where I added some new people this year, and then I went back and researched a couple of them where I could, and then I'll give highlights later of everybody I've researched over the years, and just looking for winners. This is why probably I call myself the greatest, right? But over the years, but let's see how I did this year. So I got out in week 15, and this is where everybody stood in week 15. So my multiple scheme was plus 87, or I was really 29 and 22 were my picks at $2,000 a game. These are covers.com lines. Might differ slightly from the lines that people gave during the week and their records in their videos. But then again, sometimes you can't get the spread that they give in their videos, which is why I at least use the covers.com game time. You should have been able to get that for sure. Realizing that, in my experience, I get a little bit better than what I get on covers.com. Like, for instance, this year, Cleveland, in week 10, I got better spread. I got 2.5 rather than the 3, and they covered by 3. So it was a push on covers, but it was a win in the real world, most betting schemes most of the week. So that doesn't take into account here. That counted as a push here back in week 10. But for me, in week 15, I hit my high in my multiple scheme. It was 29 and 22. I was plus 87, 22, almost 57%, 56.86% winner. I nosedived after that and eventually went negative. But for me, I was out here, and so there's a couple ways to look at this. It's, how high did you get? You could have got out just like I did. So HalfMoon, after week 1, he went 4-0. He was plus 72.72. Logan Schiff, after week 5, he was plus 34.52. Teddy Bear never went positive, and he didn't make any picks this year. Neither did Logan Schiff. They unfortunately kind of squirreled out on me in the middle of the year and didn't make any more picks. You can't rely upon them, at least. My fixed scheme was week 5 plus 54.54. So my multiple scheme was a little bit better, which is the one I played. OSG sports betting, week 6 plus 25.44, not a great number. Goat House ended up, he was plus 83.60 in week 15, so very good results. That's almost what I had in week 15. So he did really well. You could have got out well with him. And the Meat Man, plus 17,088 in week 10. So clearly he was on a huge winning streak. I think it was 16 and 6 at that point or something like that. Anyways, he was king of the year as far as you could have got out. He eventually nosedived the second half of the season, whereas Goat House finished strong. And you can see that in the numbers down below here after week 17, which is the numbers I'm going to roll with for the cumulative on these guys. The Goat House was 21 and 16 at the end of the year. He picked up a couple losses at the end of the last week, but you can do it either way. It was plus 10,178 in week 16, or plus 61.78 at the end of the year. So I'm going to keep an eye on him. This is the first year he gave locks of the week. Before that, he gave scores, but you couldn't really tell his intent as far as ATS. So he did get into the ATS world with his locks of the week, and that's what I was following here. He's probably someone to follow, but with 21 and 16, it's not the it's not a big enough sample size per se for 1 year. But you'll see that in the thing. Now, Meat Man slid to 20 and 16. He was still positive on the year, plus 43.60. I did, or OSGA did not pick well this year, and he didn't pick well last year, as far as I can tell. Even though he boasted earlier in the year that his last 33 videos were, and he does all kinds of different sports, were, 60% winner or something, but not in that world. In terms of my picks, eventually they slid to 32 and 36 and were highly negative. so not a winner there. Teddy Bear ended up being a loser. Show Logan Schiff, only a minor winner. And then HalfMoon, unfortunately, he was always a slight winner. Puppy. And he was 28 and 42. You got the Great Danes in the background. Libby, enough. And sorry about that. And Geo has always been a loser, and 48% picker. And this year he did terrible, so he's dragged his average down. I should mention Moop. Moop is what you would need to use out of your, let's just say, a 20,000 bankroll. So I needed 17,456. So I used a good part of the bankroll, and 13,000 in the fixed. So this is all about scalability. OSGA, let's see, the two winners here. Goat House used only a little over half the bankroll, so he won right out of the gate. And same thing with Meat Man, he won more right out of the gate, 6,000. So he's, as in terms of scalability, you could have tripled his bets and won 3 times the money. So there's different ways to look at that. Goat House, you could have won almost half the money if you knew that way, right? So always way to keep looking at the scheme. Let's switch to long journey. These were the rates of the kind of the people I were following through 2018. I started in 2013 tracking people. Not everybody. I've added and dropped people as I went along. So these guys down here in gray, except for Geo, I kept this year just for the heck of it. We're all sort of losers to a certain degree, and or we're unreliable, or just inactive. I call those inactive people. They're all people not really worth following for one reason or another, and I'll get into that. These purple people are the new people that I added this year. OSGA, the Goat House Locks, and Dave Scandaliato, the Meat Man. And I had some people like myself where I did Great Dane. I think I did Great Dane 2015 or 2016. I think the end of 2015 I switched to Great Dane from my old website, but I'm going to play around with those numbers a little bit because I'm 57.2, $184 per game profit, assuming a $2,000 bet with the VIG here. And well, this is my current total with the 22 and 19, 29 and 22 I went this year. Before that I was 57.3, 186 a game, so par for the average in 2019. I dragged my average down a little bit, but not much. Teddy Bear was 53.6%, $47 per game. Logan Schiff, his video picks were 52.8 and $16 per game. But again, neither one of these two picked much this year. So they weren't reliable. HalfMoon was 52.6. He was winning $7 a game. He had a terrible year this year. He went 28 and 42 and dragged himself way negative, as you can see, by the 50.4 and minus 77. So he's losing money. He's going to fall pretty far down that list. I'll probably still follow him, but is what it is. OSG sports betting this year, he went, what did he go? 13 and 21. Last year I had him at 15 and 19, so 2 consecutive losing years, 28 and 40. He whined a lot about it. He's 41% picker, so he's going to drop way down midfield. He's losing $428 a game. The Goat House ended up going 21 and 16. Could have been 21 and 14 if you wanted to get out a little higher. 57% practically, $167 a game. So I'm going to keep an eye on him. Like I said, I just have 1 year sample with him. So, you have good years and bad years. And Scandaliato, I had him 20 at 16, a winner this year. He actually could have been 16 and 6 at one point. But he was 11 and 14 last year. So between the two, he's 31 and 30. That loses you money. ATS, $60 a game. So not a great free picker. And the rest of these guys, I guess I'll get into. Let me just go back. So I did have a great year in 2013, terrible year in 2014, great year in 2015, I think 2016. So let me just I've copied my data down here and just blank out some of these years just to keep pace with some of the newers, because my algorithm might need a refresh. But if I do that, 2016 and beyond, I had a good 2016, poor 2017, good 2018, good 2019, and that's $97 per game, 55% picker. You know, so people like Teddy Bear over the years, just to go over a recap, I think he started in 2014. He had a great year. One of the reasons I followed him. Then he followed up with a bad year, kind of wiped out all his games from 2014. But then he had a good year in 2016, an okay year in 2017. But then in 2018 and 2019, his picks tailed off in terms of quantity. He didn't give out videos every week, and he didn't do well. But he's still net positive through the years. Logan Schiff video, same kind of story. He's got a video picks, and then he's got a description picks. Now the description picks could be unreliable, but for the most part, I've seen him never change those, right? But he picks every game on the description. So he did really well in 2015, kind of when I latched into him. But I latched into him in 2016. But in 2015, he only did weeks 10 and beyond. That's why the number is a little lower on what you could see. He's got 2 lines here. So he did really well in the descriptions. Out of 100 games, he went 66%, picking every game practically, and it was crazy. And he did 28 and 22 on his video picks. And then he did 41 and 28 in 2016, but his every single pick was 124 and 18, so he lost money. But he did well here and did well here, so that's part of the reason why he's staying on my radar, because at least he gives out some good picks. But then the last 2 years he's been sort of 50-50, or a little bit under 50-50, and lost money. Until this year he went 16 and 14, but again, last 2 years, you can see the volume was down. He wasn't giving video picks every week. So kind of unreliable again, unfortunately. But the winning picker overall. HalfMoon, again, was always sort of a 50-50. Let me see. These blue lines are stuff he self-reported. And same thing, I did a couple picks down there because I think Gino went to paid picks. And he was tracking a lot of people, HalfMoon was. So there's maybe not mycovers.com method, but he only reported himself 36 and 33, or a losing effort. And he had a losing effort in 2014 when I went back and looked at it. But I picked him up in 2016 when he was doing really, really well. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, and actually did great. Actually made him positive. This 42 and 22 campaign in 2016. 2017 he was negative, and again 50-50 picking. And this year he did horrible. So he's gone net negative, even though he was a little positive. OSGA, again, I picked him up this year, and touting to be great 60% picker, but he was 15 and 19 on his free picks last year and 13 and 21, so not really worth it listening to his video to do that. Goat House Locks picks did well. Scandalatio, not so good, although he was hot at the beginning of the year, tapered off. So these other people, like I said, Logan Schiff's video after this year, just lost money, not worth following. Sports Guy Show, I picked him up in 2016. He was doing great as ATS picks. I went back to the prior year. He was all ATS picks, but he lost a ton of money. Again, he picks like every single game. So the analysis is there, but the picks aren't. And eventually in 2017, he started getting into teasers and stuff. And his teasers I don't think are winners either. And eventually I gave up. He doesn't give out the ATS picks. I did take his and what he picked in the teaser and tried to do those ATS, but again, not successful. Big Ryan, the fat guy, I went a couple years with him. He went 66 and 55, so he piqued my interest in 2017. Limited number of weeks, I think. But then he went 90 and 96 through most of 2018 and lost a chunk of change. So if you pick every single game and you're 50, you're going to be very closer to 50% picker and lose a chunk of change. Like I said, 90 and 96. Even a winner like a 92 and 90 is going to lose a chunk of change. Even a 124 and 18. So you got to be much. It's just really hard to pick every single game. When they pick every single game, as El Presidor back in the day picked every single game, he's 90% winner, right, according to his video, and I just haven't followed him for years. Lose. Gino has always kind of been a loser. Sort of 50-50 some years. Other years he doesn't do well at all. He's there for the comedy. Gio, again, 50-50 picker, losing money. The football guru, this was self-reported by HalfMoon here. It was a loser, and I found him to be a 31-29. Lost a little bit of money the year before, so I just didn't follow up on him. Minnesota Beast was picking out every game or something, and he didn't pick every week either, but lost a ton of chunk of change. Jared Champion, I have a video on him. And Brock Page and Samuel Gold, I have videos on those people that just didn't do well. Maybe they do well, in other picks and other sports, or maybe over their seasons they do better. But these are my sample size. Not worth following. Same thing with the teasers. So that's where I'm at. Like I said, Goat House, I'll have to keep an eye if he does locks of the week next year. Otherwise, I'll be here picking out at my close to 57% win rate. So that's why greatest of the YouTube free pickers for the NFL. All right.